Hello everybody, and thank you so much for coming along. As you all know, I recently published a book, Poems from a Failing Society. I've been working on this for the better part of a year now. Every single evening I've been typing away a little bit, rearranging things, changing things, making massive changes that I'm going to undo the next day. Before I begin, I want to talk a bit about the title. Obviously the book's called Poems from a Failing Society, and I want to talk about what about our society I deem to be failing. I think to me, a failing society would be a society where there are more empty homes than there are homeless people, where companies throw away unused food at the end of every day because to give it away for free would diminish its perceived value. I believe a failing society is one where the wealth gap between the people who have loads and loads of money, people with no money, the rich and the poor even, is growing and nothing seems to be done about it. A society where we are heading towards climate catastrophe, and it's not that we don't know what to do about it, we have the technology, we just don't want to implement it because the people who have their hands on the levers, the people who have the ability to make those changes, benefit from the system remaining the way that it is. With that in mind, I'd like to read you the opening poem, the first one you see. If I can get to it. I've already gone past it, that's where it is, 1 second. Yeah, the opening poem, poem for a failing society. The world in which we are raised is how we think the world must be. We know nothing other than this failing society. So many of our thoughts are not truly our own. We're indoctrinated from birth to believe what we're shown. We're brainwashed by propaganda, our minds have been moulded. We're surrounded by suffering, but they keep us blindfolded. Our society survives through death and exploitation, hidden beneath the surface, not taught in our education. We are told that this is it. There's nothing else, you see. We must learn to accept that this is our reality. The holes are covered, the cracks are hidden. We refuse to improve. The alternative is forbidden. We march towards our demise, blinded by our complacency, unaware of our potential to save our society. Moving on from that, we're moving into the capitalism, which is the first section. I decided to put capitalism at the front. A lot of people who are my friends, they joke that I blame capitalism for everything, but I think that there's a fundamental reason for that, and that is that capitalism is to blame for everything. A lot of the problems we have in our society can be traced, either obviously or indirectly, back to capitalism, whether that is the global issues such as climate catastrophe or war, or if it's more personal issues such as mental health. I don't think these problems come from nowhere, and I'll explain a little bit more in the poems. I'm more than happy to answer any questions at the end. First poem I'm going to read in the capitalism section is creatively labelled Capitalism, but there's an exclamation mark to differentiate it. Capitalism is great! Why would you complain? You must be stupid. Do you have half a brain? Haven't you heard? Capitalism breeds innovation. You can do anything with enough dedication. Thanks to the system, we have so much choice. It gives us all we desire, so we should all rejoice. If you put in the work, you'll all be rewarded. Ignore all the money we've already hoarded. The game is just, and the game is fair. The game doesn't require someone else's despair. So keep your head up and play your part. Ignore the longing you feel in your heart. You work all day and you work all night. If you make enough money, you might be all right. You can do what you want unless you want to be free. Freedom's an illusion. We're just slaves to money. Capitalism is great if you're a billionaire. The poor might be suffering, but we don't really care. The next poem I am reading is called Media. It's a poem that I co-wrote with my friend Callian Yudnascu, who unfortunately couldn't be here today. I sent him some of my other poems. He sent me this thing that he wrote after reading them, and I kind of just I really like that. I sent him back a modified version. He said he thought I'd improved it, and I put it into the anthology. So, Callian, wherever you are, I love you. Thank you for all your help. And he also helped a bunch of the other poems in the book. Media. The TV is your friend from start until end. We help you to think. Without us, you'd sink. All you are told and all you are shown is far from the truth, but it's all that you've known. The promises and tales, the lie never fails. Made for you and made for me, live right now on your TV. We might show you the truth, but only a glance, and then we'll distract you with a song and a dance. Who are you to decide what's worth your attention? We'll do that for you, make no objection. But please do stay, trust we know the way. Clearly your ignorance is bliss, you've become your own nemesis. And then the next poem I want to read is a poem called Mad, which describes how I feel living in a capitalist society. Sometimes I worry I'm going insane. I worry there's something very wrong with my brain. I'm worried I'm crazy. I'm worried I'm mad. When I worry I cry. When I cry I'm sad. I worry for the animals. I worry for the poor. I feel like every day I worry more and more. But the system is the way it is, and the way it is the way it must. So don't complain, ignore the pain, because the system is because the system is. But that seems crazy to little old me. I think something's wrong, but the system loves to disagree. So either I must be mad and should be locked away, or the system is bad and we've all been led astray. The next poem is called The System Isn't Broken. They say the system's broken. Oh, how I wish that was true. The system isn't broken, it just doesn't care for me or you. This system has one purpose, to hoard wealth for the greedy. The system's not concerned with the suffering of the needy. So who cares if you struggle? And who cares if you die? This system wasn't built for you, your needs don't apply. The next poem I'm going to read is called Strikes. When the system is full of such obvious faults, who can blame the worker who finally revolts? When the workers are mad and the workers don't like the greed of the bosses, the workers will strike. The bosses will try to stop our protest. They'll villainise the workers and threaten them with arrest. But the workers stay strong and they keep up the fight because the workers know they fight for what's right. I'm now reading a poem called Communism with an exclamation mark, which is kind of like a mirror poem to the previous Capitalism with an exclamation mark. You should hate I'm going to start that one again, sorry. You should hate communism, even if you don't understand. In fact, that's better. Their books should be banned. Communism is evil, barbaric and cruel, and if you support it, you're an ignorant fool. Communism never works whenever it tries. The capitalists ensure it when they send in their spies. But maybe take a minute and question what you've been told. You've been fed propaganda from the people hoarding gold. Communism is bad if you're a billionaire, because billionaires don't like it when everything is fair. And the next poem I'm going to read is the final poem in the capitalism section, although capitalism will still be a theme throughout the rest of the book. And this poem is called When, with a question mark instead of an exclamation mark. When I speak of revolution, when will it happen, is all they say. This revolutionary movement seems so far away. Why should we waste our time going to meeting after meeting? This revolution may never happen, and our time is far too fleeting. But I find that mindset wrong, for it doesn't understand. Revolution isn't some distant promise, it's already here in the palm of our hand. The revolution is now, if we can all just agree. We can make the revolution happen to save all humanity. There won't be a TV broadcast where the news anchor will say, it's time for me to report, the revolution starts today. It begins when we decide it does, because the revolution isn't abstract. We are the revolution, and it starts when we decide to act. So that brings the capitalism section of the book to an end. Thank you very much. So the next section of the book is animal rights, which is, as anyone who knows, a very important issue to me. I won't shut up about it, or any of the things in this book really. But I went vegan before I was really a leftist, before I really knew what socialism was. So I hope you enjoy the poems in this section. Hey Ian. The first poem in this section I'm going to be reading is a poem called Children's Books. We show young children books that spread lies of cows in green fields beneath the blue skies. We tell tales of a happy pig living on a happy farm, a deception that's intended to hide all the harm. The books ease our guilts, the book comfort our hearts. They distract from the fact that we eat body parts. The propaganda is shown at such an early age. The suffering is hidden, not shown on the page. We tell kids these lies when we tuck them into bed, for they don't need to know that the food they were fed is the flesh of that happy pig whose blood has been shed. Okay, the next poem I'm going to read is one called Choice. It's not got that nice rhythmic structure that most of my poems do, but I'm going to read it anyway because I want to. It's my reading, so thank you. Choice. When did you decide you want to eat meat? How did you make that decision? Did you weigh up the options, consider your choices? Or were you a baby, incapable of deciding, never truly understanding, your agency taken away? Eating what you're given, eating what you're told, eating what your parents ate, eating what is normal. Kids read books about happy farm animals. Teens are surrounded by ads perpetuating the same lie. And by the time you've grown up, you never got the chance to truly think. A decision was never truly yours to make. The adverts scream and the billboards declare, you need meat. The propaganda is everywhere. Meat is sexy, meat is power, meat is status, meat is right, meat is normal, meat is culture, meat is tradition. Meat is murder, but it's necessary murder. But it's not too late. You never got to make a choice, you never got to decide. You have been programmed, but you don't have to obey. The decision that was taken away is a decision you can always make. Learn the truth they try to hide. Think about the animals who for you have died. Think about all the ways the industry has lied. And when you do all that, the truth will be yours to see. You can make your own choice and take back your agency. The next poem I'm about to read is called Humane Slaughter. I wrote this poem several months before I wrote any of the other poems in this anthology, before I even planned on doing an anthology. The poem started when I saw Humane Slaughter. I just thought that looks a bit like humans' laughter. So that was the kind of thought I had going into this. Humane slaughter, what a joke. Humans laugh while pigs choke. Humane slaughter, what a lie. Humans laugh while animals die. Humane, humane, what a misused word. Gas the pig and stab the bird. Humane, humane, hide from the truth. Rape the mother and kill her youth. The truth is slaughter is never humane for the victims who feel the pain. And if you really want to be kind, then open your eyes, choose not to be blind. And the next poem I have is called Meat-Eating Leftists. Basically, I wrote this poem because I feel that in a lot of left-wing circles, I don't find veganism being a topic that's addressed, and to me personally, I feel like it needs more addressing. I'm against discrimination. I think inequality is wrong. I want to create a new world where everyone will belong. I will die for my values and fight for those in need, because the sanctity of life is more important than greed. But what about the animals who are killed for your food? When it comes to your morals, how do you choose who to include? You say you'll speak for the voiceless and stand up for the defenceless. But when it comes to the animals, your logic is senseless. How can you speak of injustice while you continue to condemn innocent animals to slaughter? Why won't you fight for them? And the final poem I'll read from this section is called Think of All the Animals. Think of all the animals, of those without a voice. Think of how they're suffering before you make your choice. Think of all the animals and think of how they died. The packaging said it's all humane, perhaps the packaging lied. Think of all the animals, some wild, some pets, some food. Now swap them round and eat your pets. Am I being crude? Think of all the animals, picture them in your mind. Now it's time to make your choice, will you choose to be kind? The next section I'm reading is called Climate Change. As I wrote in the introduction to this section, I think that climate change is one of the easiest sections to understand the link between capitalism and all the other sections in this poem. At the Socialist Party, we've had several meetings on climate change, some of which are on YouTube if you want to check them out, hear more of our thoughts on climate change and capitalism. But the first poem from this section I'm going to be reading is a poem called Ignore the Scientists. Ignore the scientists! See through their disguise! They don't know what they're saying, they're just spreading lies! They're just spreading fear and needless confusion. Pay no attention to their shared delusion. The tests are faulty, the results are flawed. They're all biased and guilty of fraud. Don't start to question, don't start to doubt. We've got it all sorted, we've got it all figured out. Ignore the scientists, silence their cries. We need to make money, even if the planet dies. Following on from that, I've got a poem called Thinking About My Grandkids, which I wrote after thinking about what am I going to do when I'm older, how am I going to talk to my grandkids, because I feel like we're in a very crucial moment in history right now in terms of climate change. The period of time we have to make changes is growing ever shorter, and if we don't act soon, it's going to be too late, and then we'll have to live with the repercussions of facing future generations. Sometimes I wonder what my grandkids will learn. How will we tell them we let the world burn? Sometimes I fear what my grandkids will say. Why didn't you do something to stop the trees going away? Sometimes I think that my grandkids will hate the fact we did nothing till it was too late. My grandkids will ask, why didn't you stop it? And I will reply, all we cared for was profit. A short poem for you here, this one's called Activists. Activists are trying to make the public see that the earth is crying as we cut down every tree. The companies are lying so they can make more money. Our planet is dying, yet we don't act urgently. The next poem I'm going to read to you is a poem called Time. It's funny how time can move so fast, yet our society remains so stuck in the past. Minutes turn to hours and hours into days, but we can't seem to move on from our old ways. As humans we have such great potential, yet we act like our survival isn't essential. So treasure every minute and seize every day. Let's make sure we spend them fighting for a better way. The earth is slowly dying, now's not the time for debate. We must act now, or it'll be too late. And now a poem called Sleepwalking. Our world stands on the edge, hastily approaching our demise, yet we all seem so determined to never open our eyes. With every passing hour, we continue to seal our fate. If we don't soon stop our sleepwalking, it will soon become too late. Sometimes I curse my knowledge and envy those whose eyes are closed. Why suffer the pain of knowing when our enemy stands unopposed? I wish I knew the answer to wake up everyone, but sadly no one listens, as what I say isn't fun. I plead you now to join me, try to spread the word, sleepwalking into annihilation, the whole thing seems absurd. And the final poem in the climate change section is a poem called Beauty. Our oceans are filled with plastic, our landscapes are hidden by trash. We ignore the disaster coming, we're distracted by the cash. Slowly nature's place is lost, a relic of the past. We seem to be preparing nature's role being recast. But the beauty of our planet should not be left behind. Our forests are so beautiful, how is man so blind? Ugly buildings built by man, beauty not the goal. Cost-efficient architecture, humanity sold its soul. Yet the earth ignores us, our planet makes life art, its beauty flowing eternal, as it has done from the start. Despite rising sea levels, and despite every burning tree, the sun still rises every morning to shine a light on our planet's beauty. So the next section of the book I am reading from is called LGBT Rights. I'm not going to read as many poems. A couple of the poems in this one are longer, and there are less poems overall. So I'm going to start by reading a poem called Gay or Straight, which, unlike I just said, this is one of the shorter poems in the section. So Gay or Straight. When I was a kid, I thought you had to choose. You like men or women, the other you refuse. It was quite simple, the world's black and white, but I felt lost and that didn't sound right. I didn't know if I was straight or gay. I thought I liked both, but thought it wasn't okay. And when I found out liking both is allowed, I finally came out and now I am proud. Speaking of longer poems, this poem is 3 pages, a little bit longer. It's called A Date with a Man. I'll confess to you now, it's not actually super accurate. It was actually a date I went on with a non-binary person who looked quite masculine, but for the sake of simplicity, I've just simplified it to A Date with a Man. Anyway. When I was younger, I had a date with a man. It was rather spontaneous, wasn't much of a plan. We went out for dinner, then went for a drink. This is going well, I started to think. We had lots of laughs, I felt we had a connection. When I looked into his eyes, so much sexual tension. But things took a turn when a group of men came in. That's when the trouble started to begin. They started to shout such horrible things. I wish it didn't hurt, but the memory still stings. The man I was with said it will be okay, and in that moment I felt so gay. So we tried to ignore them and have a nice night, but in the back of my mind I was scared of a fight. But it wouldn't be a fight, more of a beating, just because it was a man with whom I was eating. I went to the bathroom, that's when it went wrong, when I was made to feel like I'd never belong. One of the guys was in there as well, and he looked at me like he'd send me to hell. I bumped into him, it was just a mistake. He shoved me to the ground and I started to ache. I feared what would happen, a punch or a kick, but it wasn't that bad, it was over quite quick. He turned to me, stared me dead in the eye, shouted, "Fuck off, faggot!" and I feared I might die. But then the man left, with me still on the floor. I'd never felt so ashamed of being gay before. So I started to cry, head full of shame, until the man I was with started calling my name. I pulled myself up, told him I had to leave. Couldn't admit what had happened, so I chose to deceive. When I was lying in my bed that night, I couldn't stop thinking my sexuality wasn't right. Fuck off, faggot. I bet he felt clever. Fuck off, faggot will haunt me forever. I'm now going to read a shorter poem, which is a little bit less depressing, and it's called I Love My Trans Friends. So it is a bit depressing, actually, if you forget why I had to write it. I love my trans friends, and I think they're so brave. I hate how our government wants them in a grave. I love my trans friends for living their truth. I'll always believe you. I'll never need proof. I love my trans friends. I hope they know you belong. I'm here for you always, even when the world feels so wrong. And the final section in the LGBT poem section is a poem called Love. It's not the strongest link to LGBT, but I put it in here because it's called Love, and I feel like that represents the community quite well. In a world that is divided and seems so full of hate, it can be easy to forget what makes humanity great. Our greatest superpower, the thing that keeps us strong. It can bring us all together and make a world where we all belong. Try to listen to your heart, and when push comes to shove, the answer's rather simple: always follow love. Now we're moving on to the mental health section. I'm going to start by reading a poem called Clown. I'll just make a joke, but I can't cope. The laughter's a cloak, hiding my fading hope. Always wearing a smile, but it's always fake. Haven't been happy in a while, I can't catch a break. The laughs are lies that are meant to try and disguise my quickening descent. I can never admit when I'm feeling down, hide it with my wit, because I'm just a clown. The next poem I'm going to read is a poem called Anxiety. Yeah, hey James. Does anyone like me? Does anyone care? Whoever said life had to be fair? Are they staring? What do they think? Feel like I'm in water and I'm starting to sink. You're so ugly, you're so fat, you look so stupid in that hat. Your friends pretend that you are great, but really all they feel is hate. I really want to run and hide. Maybe it'd be better if I just died. Okay. The next poem I'm going to read is another bit of a longer one. It's called I Really Don't Want to Die. I really, really don't want to die, and I promise that isn't a lie. When I think of death, I get so scared, I start to feel so unprepared. But sometimes life is just too much, and I start to crave death's sweet touch. My mind is filled with a screaming voice, telling me you have no choice. You have to die, there's no other way. Kill yourself, Ryan, do it today. But like I said, I really don't want to. But then the voice says no one loves you. The voice is so loud I can't hear myself. The voice takes over to grab the noose from the shelf. I really, really don't want to die, but sometimes I wonder, could that be a lie? Why do I bother keeping on living when life can be so unforgiving? What is true and what is not? I desperately cling to the little sanity I've got. I try to say everything will be okay, but the voice replies, you're just telling lies. I want to live. I really do. I just need to try something new. But the voice is relentless and it won't give in. The battle ain't over. I don't think I can win. I can't live for myself, that hasn't worked before, so I think of my friends, who I adore. If I can't live for me because of my own self-hatred, then I'll do it for the people that I hold sacred. And as I think of the people I cherish, the voice is weakened and it starts to perish. The voice is over, but only for today. I know it won't be forever, the voice never goes away. The next poem I'm going to read is a poem called A Breakdown. And I wrote this after I was struggling to write a poem and started feeling shit about myself. I'm feeling low. What to do? Oh, I know. I'll go to my room. I'll write a poem and pour out my heart. It won't change the world, but it'll be a start. But I stared at the page, and it remained blank, my mind filled with rage, and then my heart sank. You think your poems can change the world? They won't. Your poems are terrible. You are terrible. This is terrible. Don't publish this. You are terrible. Kill yourself tomorrow. The next poem is called Numb. I'm really sorry this section's a bit depressing. This poem is called Numb. I used to think of numb as an absence, a lack of feeling, a void, a hole, an emptiness. But now I realise numb is not a lack of feeling. Instead, numb is constant exposure. Numb is all the emotions at once, an overload, a bombardment of feeling, a thundering storm. Numb is not when you feel nothing. Numb is when you feel so much that you can't process the feelings. The next poem is called Train. Sometimes I can't get it out of my brain. The overwhelming urge to jump in front of a train. I stand and wait on the platform, while inside my mind there's a gathering storm. Now I can see the approaching train, and I hear the voice inside my brain. If you jump, there'll be no more pain. Inside my chest, I feel my heart pump. I get the urge, but I don't jump. I'm suddenly hit by a wave of relief. If I'd have jumped, the pain would have been brief. The next poem I'm going to read is a poem called The Voice. Alone I stand at the edge of the canyon, alone except for the voice, my unwanted companion. I can't remember a time before the voice, criticising every decision, criticising every choice. Feeling a little sad, the voice is there to turn this sadness into utter despair. Feeling happy, not for long, the voice will ensure everything goes wrong. The voice will leave to give false hope, but then it returns with the thoughts of the rope. The voice is here and it's here to stay. It wants you gone. There's only one. If you want it gone, there is only one way. It whispers, murmurs, screams and shouts, all your fears and all your doubts. I know I'm loved, but the voice will deny. The voice won't stop until I die. Is the voice me? It's inside my head. Do I really want to see myself dead? Or could it be a demon or some devilish ghoul, or its own motivation so evil and cruel? The voice knows no reason. The voice doesn't care. The voice is always going to be there. Alone I stand at the edge of the canyon, except for the voice that I hope to abandon. Now I'm going to read the final poem from Mental Health Now. This poem is called The Heart. A bleeding heart lies in a pit, tears flow from its veins. In that pit it wallows, suffering through its pains. The heart has been discarded, trampled, beaten, bruised. The man who used to own it finds himself confused. The heart had caused him misery, kept him up at night, but now he is without it, still doesn't feel right. He quickly rushes to the pit and takes his heart in hand. This isn't what he wanted, this isn't what he planned. He puts the heart back in his chest and feels the pain again. But yet the pain is different now, its power starts to wane. A lesson learned the hard way, he knows now what is true. Pain can't truly be repressed, the only way out is through. The next section I'm going to be reading from is the addiction section. And yeah, I'm going to start reading poems now. I don't know what to say about this one really. I don't want to talk too much about it, so yeah, I'm just going to get into it. The first poem I'm going to read from this section is called Maybe. Maybe I'll try it, just a little, just once, just for this extra special occasion. Maybe you like it, maybe you'll do it again, but not for a while, not until that next extra special occasion. It's been a month, you deserve a treat. It's been a while, oh what the hell. You do it at a party, you do it with your friends. It's fun, it's a laugh, everyone's smiling, you're smiling. It's been a week, you're feeling a bit down. Just this once, take it on your own. Every weekend, that's okay. Some people drink, we all have our vices. Every day, but just after work, you have to have limits, you have to have rules. Hard day, very hard day. Lunch break, do it then, everything's okay. Every day, every lunch break, no escape, not okay, not okay. The next section is called Everybody Loves Me. Everybody loves me, because I'm such fun. Everyone loves me, I feel like number one. Everyone loves me, but why can't they see? Get rid of the drugs and you get rid of me. The next poem I'm going to be reading is called One More. Before I keep reading poems from this section, I'm doing a lot better now. Lots of these poems are from dark places in my past, and the same with the mental health section as well. Just generally speaking, a lot of these poems touch on problems I felt in the past that aren't as big a problem to me now. So anyway, the next poem is called One More. One more line, one more bag, one more bump, one more fag, one more hit, one more joint, one more needle, what's the point? It's never going to be just one more. Stop lying to yourself, it's becoming a bore. The next poem is called Drinking. Drinking is normal, drinking is fun. If you don't have a drink, then you're the weird one. Isn't it strange that drugs are so bad? But alcohol's a drug, and if you don't drink it, you're mad. The truth is, my friends, that alcohol is behind just as much harm as the other drugs you can find. The next section I'm going to be reading is the next poem I'm going to be reading is a poem called Meetings. Week after week, I go to the meetings, but it's all just smiles and pleasant greetings. How many meetings do I have to attend for this addiction to finally end? Progress is slow, and I keep failing. I wish this journey would be smooth sailing. They say trust in the process, but I can't even trust me. I hope that sometime soon I have the strength to set myself free. Now I'm going to read a poem called Sober. So many thoughts fill my mind. I don't know how to unwind. For so long, all I'd do, bury the pain, don't push through. Now I'm sober, I can't stop. Over a cliff, I'm gonna drop. Sober is hard, there's no way I can take the pain away. The next poem is called Relapse. Another day, I'm doing good. Everything will be okay. Another day, I'm staying clean. Everything will be okay. Another day, bit of a struggle, but everything will be okay. Another day, I start to doubt if everything will be okay. I mess up and start to feel like nothing will be okay. The next poem I'm reading is called The Demon Inside. Inside of my mind, there are two fighting souls. One of them's a good man, the other burns children with coals. You have the version that I want to be. He's kind and he's caring. I hope that's who you see. But then there's the monster who hides in my brain. He doesn't care about my friends, even if they're in pain. All that he wants and all that he knows is that he needs to shove drugs up his nose. And the final bag in the addiction section is called Moment of Truth. So now the bag's empty, time to face the fire. Will I stay true to my promise or turn into a liar? I know that deep down I want it all to stop, but there's a fight happening inside me and the demon always ends up on top. But this time is different. I know it to be true. I think of my friends, I'm doing it for you. The next section I'm going to be reading poems from is a section called Palestine. The first poem in this section is called Channel Surfing, but it's meant to emulate flicking between lots of different TV channels, and I've tried doing that and putting on different voices, and it just doesn't work. So I'm just going to read it all the way through normally. I'm not going to try doing different voices because it just sounded really bad. I'm really sorry. Yeah. Good morning and welcome to Annie Scores putting in its natural habitat. The death toll continues to. It's been a big week for available to all good. Protesters are being beaten. Wedding of pop sensation. To cook this at home you'll need. Children are dying of starvation. And then add 3 cloves of garlic. Proving to be a difficult race for. Donate now and you can help. Have invaded Rafah earlier. If you're worried about your mental, the Israeli government is guilty of. Unexpected turn of events has resulted. Second place goes to. As for the weather in the south, expect bombs continue to raise on Gaza. That's all for tonight. See you again tomorrow. I think that's one you have to try reading yourself because it works better on the page, I promise. The next poem I'm going to be reading is one called Detached. I wake up, I walk to work, I open up the shop, I greet the customers, I make them their coffee, I give them their cake, I ask them about their lives, I clean the tables, I mop the floors, I close the shop. And while I'm doing my safe daily routine, in the back of my mind, all I can think of is the genocide and my inability to do anything to stop it. The next poem is called Luxuries. The things we take for granted, that others would give so much for, the luxuries of privilege, the unappreciated necessities. I never wake up worried about where I'll get my water. Have a long shower, don't think anything of it. My phone charges, my lights turn on. Never a doubt, why wouldn't they? I ignore a call from my dad, I can call him back tomorrow. I don't spare a thought for those who would give all they have just to hear the sound of their father's voice. I'm now going to read a poem called Prayer for Gaza. I'm not religious, so I don't often pray, but for the people in Gaza, I'll make an exception today. I pray to a God whose existence I doubt. I haven't prayed in a while, should I whisper or shout? I'll pray on behalf of all the Palestinian mothers who've lost their daughters and their daughters' brothers. I pray that one day this genocide will end, but I fear my prayer will be unheard, so I leave it with you, God, and you I depend. The next poem is called Terrorist. Isn't it funny that when you resist your own occupation, you're labelled a terrorist? We bomb their hospitals, we bomb their schools, yet when they label us villains, we say they are fools. But when kicked out of their homes and told they don't belong, how is it the Palestinians who are in the wrong? Couple short poems, just to read them one after the other. We've got Politicians and Anti-Semite. Politicians. Our politicians are cowards, for they have denied to call what's happening in Gaza a needless genocide. All that politicians really care for is money and power, and they always want more. Our politicians don't care about doing what's right. People are dying, but they'll stay silent tonight. And now Anti-Semite. If you oppose Israel, then you must hate all the Jews. A horrid lie and nothing more, propagated by our news. There are Jewish voices on our side speaking out against your brutality. Israel doesn't speak for the Jewish people, and that is just reality. Because Jewish, Muslim, white or black, the truth is clear for all to see. You are committing a genocide while trying to gain our sympathy. And I've got two more poems from Gaza. I'm just going to read the final one. Conversation. I had a conversation with a dear friend, and he asked me when would this genocide end. It was with regret that I replied, I fear it won't stop until all the Palestinians have died. Of course I hope that that's not true, but our world leaders' actions have informed my view. The only hope I have that I might be wrong is that people stay loud and that people stay strong, because the people are clear they want Palestine to be free, and we won't stop our protests until the Palestinians have safety. So we're now at the final section of the anthology, so not much longer now, guys, I'm sorry. The next poem, the first poem in this section is called Death for Profit. Death for profit makes life a joke. How much would it cost for you to stab this bloke? Making money from murder doesn't seem fair, and the soldiers who die never see their share. The ones who make millions don't even fight, instead they lay safely in their beds at night. Isn't it funny the way wars are fought? The ending of life is something to be bought. Now I'm going to read a poem called Chess. This one's for you, Dylan. Chess is fun, but chess is a game. Actual war is never so tame. You sacrifice pieces like you sacrifice men, but the pieces are nameless. This soldier was called Ben. When the game ends, one player has won, but neither player has to deal with the loss of their son. At the end of the game, the board is reset. At the end of a war, all you have is regret. The next poem I'll read is a poem called Children. Children die in times of war. It's happening now like it's happened before. Some die of thirst when we cut off their water, and some bleed bullets, such unnecessary slaughter. Some bleed from bullets, such unnecessary slaughter. It doesn't seem fair, and it doesn't seem right, that children are bombed while sleeping at night. So if you care for the kids, then please fight no more, because children die in times of war. The next poem I'll read is called Pawns for the Rich. Again, linking back to that chess thing there. We're just pawns for the rich. Our lives don't matter. They just keep us around to help their wallets get fatter. We should die for our country and do it with pride. They say the wars are for justice, but the truth is they lied. The wars only happen because they want more power. Wars give them money while our graves get a flower. They don't care if you live. They'll leave your body in a ditch. Why can't you see we're just pawns for the rich? And then the final poem in this section is a poem called Remember. Remember those who fell before, lost their lives in a pointless war, died believing in a noble cause, but never got the chance to pause and question why they had to fight, why they had to dive at night, while the men who start the battle stood aside and treat them like cattle. For soldiers who shot and killed each other had more in common with one another than the bastards who gave the command but never saw the horrors of no man's land. All the money that's made in war is made through deaths of brave and poor, who never get to see the spoils, instead they suffer through the toils. And then we parade their memory, never truly understanding the treachery, the countless horrors they endured, so that investments could be secured. Remember those who have fallen, but never forget why they died. The greed of those in power is the reason their mothers cried. Don't disrespect for soldiers, they died for a noble lie. But before the past repeats itself, we must all ask ourselves why. And then the final poem in the anthology is a poem called Poem for a Better Tomorrow, which is meant to be a mirror poem to the opening poem for a failing society. The world in which we are raised is how we think the world must be. But if we all come together, we can rebuild our society. The change must start from within, with unlearning what we think we know, abolishing this wretched system and deciding where we should go. Stop doing what's best for profit, start doing what's best for mankind. Let's realise human potential and stop choosing to be blind. Humanity can survive without needless death and exploitation. We can make this planet better for every future generation. Because there's more to us than this system of brutality. Together we have the power to make a better reality. We must focus on the holes, shine a light on all the flaws, even if this hard-fought battle doesn't win us much applause. We march towards our demise, but it's not too late, you see. We still have the potential to save our society. And that is the end of the book. So thank you all for listening. If anybody has any questions on any of the poems or anything like that, I'm more than happy to answer them. If not, I'm happy to make some more drinks before people leave, if people want to stay and talk. Otherwise, you're more than welcome to leave. But thank you all for coming. I really appreciate all your support. It's very lovely to see so many friendly faces in the audience today.
Thank you. Can I say something? Just thank you so much. Thank you for being a friend. You're the only person I've ever known, I've been around a few years, who can articulate and is so compassionate and shows so much empathy and so much guts to write that and then sit there and read it out. You are truly unique. You know, you are a shining star. Maybe a red star. A shining star.
That's really kind of you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Mark. I really appreciate that. Well, if there was any questions, can I take any drink orders?
How much are the books?
Books are £10. You can pay with cash or you can bank transfer me. I'll put my details above the books over there. Yeah. Good question.
Take my money.
The anti-capitalist is taking money. It's failing. Okay, right. I think that doesn't give me the questions, which is totally fine. Thank you so much.
Have you got a favourite section?
Have I got a favourite section? That's a really difficult one. It's funny because I feel like I want to say capitalism, but I actually don't think the poems in capitalism are the strongest. Even though it's the subject I probably feel the most passionately about, but I just didn't get the passion onto the page. I don't know. I like a lot of the poems of mental health. I think they're some of the stronger poems that I wrote. I also like the ones on animal rights, if I'm being honest with you. I don't know. I don't know. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. It was one of those 8. One of those 8's my favourite. Yeah.
What's next?
What's next? That's a really good question.
Book, or is it another kind of book of poetry?
I haven't decided yet what's next. Before I wrote this book, I wanted to write a novel. I went to Manchester beginning this year, and I was planning on starting writing a novel, and that failed. I instead wrote a book of poetry, and I'm very happy with this book of poetry, but perhaps I should try and write that novel. But yeah, thank you, good question. For those of you, this is Ian. Ian is he's just retired, but used to work for Catch 22, which is a really great charity, and he's one of the people, him and Aaron, who met up with me for drug addiction meetings. So massive thank you to Ian, it really helped my life. I would
That's very nice of you to say, but actually I do nothing. I just pointed where you do the hard work.
Thank you.
It's you. And can I say I'm like your colleague here, in terms of I was immensely impressed by your work. It really is. I think it's very moving. I think it kind of goes to the heart. I think you know, the future, poetry or right, you've got something I think that you can take forward.
Thank you.
It's really impressive.
I would give everyone, thank you so much, I would give everyone a personal introduction, but we'll be here too long, so just Ian for now. Tom, did you?
Yeah. So I think you had one poem there that you mentioned that you did have a much more, a much more loose rhythmic structure and a fewer sort of rhyming couplet elements. Presumably that comes less naturally to you, would you say?
It's weird, I don't know, someone, I can't remember who it was, I feel bad, I can't say it. Someone read one of the early drafts of it and was like, oh, it's like the Dr. Seuss of socialism.
That was Nicole.
That was Nicole, oh, thank you, yeah. And so, most of the poems I have a B rhyming structure. I don't know why, it's just kind of how I write, and most of the poems in the book have that rhyming structure. I don't know, that just comes to me quite easily. And there's a lot of other poems in the book that don't have that rhyming structure, but anything other than that, if you're reading it, just know that I was trying really hard to not just default to AB. No, I wasn't joking. Does anybody want a drink? Because I can stop being stared at. Another one of those? Thank you all for coming. Thank you all very much.